Week 15 of the fantasy basketball season. And here's a few forwards I look to buy and trade for this week. The first guy, John Collins of the Atlanta Hawks. Collins, he's been up and down over the last few weeks here, and he's obviously not putting up the numbers like he did last season. So this year, 16.8 points a game, 7.9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.1 blocks, 1.3 threes a game, and 53% from the field. But the last couple weeks here, his scoring's definitely gone down. And field goal percentage for Collins, 13.4 points a game, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, 1.1 threes, and 49% from the field. So there's rumors swirling that Collins, he might possibly be traded by the February 10th NBA trade deadline. But we'll see if that happens or comes to fruition. So the last few games for Collins, January 21st versus Miami, 15.7 rebounds, 2 assists, a 3, 75% from the field. January 23rd at the Hornets, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 60% from the field. And January 26th versus the Kings, 9 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, a block, and 50% from the field. So right here, numbers are way down, but we know he's a great talent, is John Collins, and a top 30 fantasy basketball player over the last few seasons. So I think he's going to crack out of this slump. And especially if he gets traded somewhere else, he's going to have the ball in his hands more and put up bigger numbers. So right now, while the value is down and he wants to get out of Atlanta, this is a perfect time for fantasy owners to go out there and get him. The second guy is Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets. So we know Durant's out with the knee injury 6 to 8 weeks here. But if you could afford to go out there and trade him and not give up much to get him, if you're in the playoff hunt, obviously, this is a perfect time to do it, because Kevin Durant, when he plays, he's still a monster. 29.3 points a game, 7.4 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1.9 threes a game, and 52% from the field. So KD, we know he hasn't played since January 15th, and he's probably going to be out another 5 or 6 weeks at most. So that'll take you right about to the fantasy playoffs here, or close to it. So if you're a team that's up there in the rankings and you could get Kevin Durant on the low, this is a perfect time to go out there and get him while his value's super low. And there's no certain time that he's coming back. But obviously, if you're a team down in the standings, I would get rid of Durant as well. And even if you could get a decent player that could help your team out and is pretty consistent, I would do it. But Durant here, this is more for owners who are obviously up in the standings and could afford giving up a player that's playing now to get him on the low. And the third and final forward to buy this week's Montrezl Harrell of the Washington Wizards. So Harrell, he got off to a hot start early in the season here with his new team. And his numbers, they've fallen off just a bit on the season. 14.1 points a game, 7 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 65% from the field. But the last couple weeks, he had 12 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.3 blocks, and 68% from the field. So he's way better this season with Washington where he was last season when the Lakers, where he really didn't do much or play towards the end of the season. But the last few games here, he hasn't given fantasy on his munch, is Harrell. January 21st versus Toronto, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, a 80% from the field. January 23rd versus Boston, 3 points, a rebound, and 50% from the field. And January 25th here versus the Clippers, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 60% from the field. So the last few games I could mention, not much of a stat stuffer here for Montrezl Harrell, but I think he's going to get things going. I think he's going to bounce back. And when he plays more minutes and puts up bigger numbers, this Wizard team wins more ball games. But the last couple games here where he hasn't done much, they've lost 4 in a row. So right now, while his value's down, I think you could go out there and get Harrell on the cheap. And he's going to get things going once again, because he's too good not to score the basketball and be a good rebounder, still playing 25, 30 minutes a game. So that's a few forwards I look to buy and trade for here for Week 15 of the fantasy basketball season.